Hello and welcome to Interfaith Insights Spotlight on Faith. My special guest this week is my friend Craig Weir. A big welcome to Craig Weir to the show. I'm generally not sure where to start with Craig. I like to think somehow you're the piper to the stars, because I used to think often that you've really made it as a performer when Craig has been supporting you on concert. But we'll come to that in a minute. Also, the front man for the Celtic rock sensation Gleidraic. Is that correct? Gleidraic, yeah, you'll correct me on that a few times. And the smash indie act Craig Weir and the Kabbalistic Calvary. Yeah. There was a while when I thought, as I was saying, that I've watched a lot of you playing pipes at all sorts of big concerts and events. And you've played for, I think, for the Queen at Balmoral. You've played for the Dalai Lama. You've played for Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've played for Michelle Obama. I mean, I can't think of who you haven't played for when it comes to the pipes. Also, you played with people like the Kaiser Chiefs, Dougie McLean, and at the Commonwealth Games. I don't know how many people know that the version of Flower of Scotland was your version. I believe that was played when they were getting the gold medal. I hope you got royalties for that. You've played at the Mobile Awards twice. There's not many acts probably could say that. And you've also played, I think, private gigs for Calvin Harris and Rudimental, is that right? You play many different instruments, and we'll talk about that as well. And what I'm interested to know what your most natural one is. I guess you're going to tell me it's the bagpipes, but it might not be. I know you've been playing the pipes since you were 8 years old, I think. Yeah. So maybe we can start from that. 8-year-old Craig on the pipes. Is the bagpipes your first instrument then? Or are you bilingual like people with languages? Are you just natural on the guitar? And I think you play ukulele as well, is that right?
Yeah, so the pipes are my first instrument. They were the first instrument that I learned. It took me back to, as you say, when I was 8. I was round my mum's uncle, my great uncle. He was a piper, Jack. And I remember that we were around there, a family visit around Christmas time one year, and he'd said, why don't you have a go? Why don't you try the pipes? And I mean, I thought I was a really shy boy growing up, and I thought that there's no chance. I'm not musical. It's not for me. I was never pushed or that, but I was kind of gently encouraged to, why don't you have a shot by my folks, and I did. I went along, and I fell in love with music, with piping, and essentially it's opened up a whole different world for me, really. It really has. And as I said, I was a really shy boy growing up, and I feel like through getting into music and being involved in music has really helped me to be more confident, comfortable within myself, express myself a bit more. And now the biggest problem is getting me to shut up, I mean, so the second instrument I learned was guitar. I'd go along to lessons with a guy, Bill McKechnie. He's still doing lessons in Courteeners. And that's where I learned to play guitar. Music kind of opened up this new world to me, that I guess has continued to open up as time's gone on. With the Kabbalistic Cavalry stuff, I now sing as well, and to be fair, I've been singing a little bit with Gleidraic over the years, and I don't think I'm a natural singer either. Right. But like with the guitar, I've put in a little bit of work to kind of develop my singing ability, and I guess I'm warming up a bit more than I used to and whatnot as well.
But you formed Gleidraic when you were at high school?
Yeah, so we formed Gleidraic when, I will continue to correct your pronunciation.
I'll get it right eventually.
We formed Gleidraic 10 years ago now, yeah, when we were at high school, Courteeners High School. The guys, so my brother's the drummer in the band. Graham, the bass player, he'd gone to primary school with my brother and I as well, actually, interestingly. Wow. So we'd known each other a long time. That kind of came about because we were really quite involved with a charity that was being run by our RME teacher, Jim Bell, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. The charity was called Level 8, and it was to do with helping support children and families in Rwanda in particular. And he then, a bunch of us, I guess, had suggested that he puts on kind of musical concerts as fundraisers when we were students at high school. And actually the first gig that we did was for one of those, but it wasn't the full lineup. It was a friend of mine, Laura, who was a Highland dancer, and she was looking, it was actually her idea, she was looking to have something a bit different backing her, because I sometimes accompanied her solo on my pipe, but she wanted to go down, she referred to the Red Hot Chili Peppers and something like that, she thought would be quite different. So it was my brother and I, and Ross, who was a friend of mine that was also involved in the kind of setting up of the charity and whatnot. He was a guitar player, and we decided that the three of us would accompany Laura for her dance. At that point, none of us had any knowledge of like arranging music so that the pipes could be played with other instruments.
Wow.
And it was another friend of mine, Julie, who arranged two of Gordon Duncan's pipe pieces, Pressed for Time and Good Drying, fantastic tunes. But she arranged the guitar parts so that Ross could play along with me, and then my brother on the drums. And I remember really clearly us coming off and thinking, we only played one piece, I think, maybe two, and we had an absolute buzz from having done that. And I remember saying to Ross, we need to start a band, like we need to actually do this. The four of us there was the first time that we played, but of course, and the four of us are still the band, but over time we've kind of expanded our live show. Obviously we've got like brass involved, so like saxophone, trombone, accordion, keys are all part of our kind of, certainly there's a feeling of like being a different person on a stage. But the things that we've done together and the experiences we've had together have been incredible. They're definitely stories to tell the grandkids. But I think one of the things that I think is the most touching and I guess lovely thing about our band is that we've all been on that journey and grown up together from being at high school. Like, in fact, we're such a close-knit group in that sense that Ali Ogilvie, who was on the sound desk for us at that show at the high school, is still our regular sound man. He still comes on.
That's incredible, isn't it? And
so we've really done it together.
Has there been a progression in your music in terms of were some of the earlier songs that you did in high school, did that reflect what you were going through as teenagers to where you are now?
It's an interesting question, because so for those people listening that don't know Gleadrick, our music kind of comes in different ways. So we're primarily a bagpipe kind of rock band, but we do a range of like covers for the pipes, as well as like writing music, original stuff. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, I can't listen to the very first EP that we put out. It's unlistenable to me, because it just, and I guess that captures how far we've come musically as well. It's just unlistenable to me. It's called Pipe Dreams, and I cringe every time I come near it. And I suppose at that time we were focusing mainly on arranging pieces that had already been created, like pieces like Gordon Duncan and other pipers arranged their pieces for our band. Songs like The Undertones, Teenage Kicks, The Who, My Generation. We'd put them together for the pipes. We were basically taking the rock and roll acts that we liked out with the band and trying to find a way of combining those with the pipes in the traditional style. Whereas as time has gone on, we've become better musicians, better writers, and I would say nowadays we're all able to kind of bring a bit more to the table in terms of creativity. So I would say no to your initial question as to like the first pieces captured where we were in our lives. But I would say that as time has progressed, we're capturing more about where we are in our lives now, because we have that kind of ability as musicians, as artists, to kind of express that. I didn't think I was any good at like songwriting. It wasn't something that, like, especially lyrically, because there's something really, really personal about writing words as opposed to melodies. Not that there's nothing personal about melodies, but I think it's...
I know what you mean. I know what you
mean. And I had a moment in... So, when I first went to Canada a few years back, I was going over to do a piping workshop with the Montreal Pipes and Drums. I was basically preparing pipe band championships, which take place in Glengarry, in Maxville. Now, the area gets its name Maxville because it had been the place where all the Macs would gather, all the Scots, and that they renamed the place. It had a previous name, I can't remember what it was, but they renamed the place Maxville because of the Scottish contingent. So when I arrived at these games, it was honestly like arriving at like something on the scale of Glastonbury. It's huge. Like, it's bigger than any Highland Games I have ever seen in Scotland. It's massive. They have a whole weekend festival, and in the evenings, after the pipe bands and stuff, they have bands play. And my friend Chris had linked me up with a band called the Mariner's Curse, who are a kind of similar to Gleadric but fiddle led. And he'd said that perhaps, you know, I could guest with them, and I did. We played a couple pieces together that night, which was a lot of fun. And I've since gone on to tour a couple times with them in Canada. To go full circle with the story, the road that leads to Maxville is called the Highland Road, right? And I found that to be incredibly powerful. I guess I felt right at home, but with so many miles from home. So my friend Chris, who I was spending a lot of time with while I was in Canada, in fact I was staying with him, him and I had this idea that we capture that kind of essence of feeling so at home, so many million miles away, or not million, but thousands of miles away. And together we wrote this poem song that became the first single of the Kabbalistic Cavalry. Now, I wanted to make a bit of a splash with it in terms of media involvement and whatnot. And so what I did was I took the poem, I chopped up the poem into different lines, and I got a whole range of people that I've worked with in the music industry over the years to each contribute a line to the poem. So everyone from Brian May to the Bay City Rollers, Alan Cummins, through to whatever else, there's so many names on it. They all give a line of the poem before it kicked into the main song. The song came out, was probably the most successful song I've ever released, and from there on I got that spark for songwriting too. I guess the songs that I write now are evolving as well, and some of them are a bit more rocky, some of them are a bit more indie, some of them are a bit more folky, some of them would be at home in like an Irish bar, I guess. There's all sorts of things going on there, but at least I know I have these two creative channels that I can kind of work.
You've got a good ear for a good eye for marketing with Gleadric as well. You have the whiskey, so you really obviously thought to yourself, let's think what will market and raise the band's profile. That's still on your bucket list of who you want to play with.
In terms of playing with, I'd be wrong if I didn't say that playing with Queen was like the greatest experience imaginable.
I can imagine.
For those that don't know, there was already a pipe version of We Will Rock You that existed. I think it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers who'd come up with it initially, and Queen and Adam Lambert were coming to Glasgow on their tour, and they had this idea that I guess along the way on the tour they were going to do something that reached out to the local audience at the time, and sure enough I was the one that was asked to do the We Will Rock You thing. The most unbelievable experience. It was, so the way it worked was they played their show. They finished with, believe it or not, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm standing at the side of the stage thinking, how am I going to follow this? Because what I was tasked with doing was, so after Bohemian Rhapsody, the band leave the stage, stage goes dark, and I was to emerge as a lone piper, starting off We Will Rock You on the pipes in front of this arena. Sure enough, I went up, I started as the lone piper bit, and then gradually, one by one, the members came on and joined. So Roger Taylor was the first to kick back in with the boom, boom, that obviously very familiar drum beat on the, and then my cue to finish was when Brian kicked into this big guitar solo, and I remember it was a great picture of it actually. At the end, as he burst into that guitar solo, I was standing on the end of this walkway, and I turned around to see that he was pointing at me and getting the crowd to sort of show their appreciation. It was really, it was ridiculously cool.
From music, I was going to say you're also a teacher, which I find it hard to get in my head, because you seem to be one of the hardest working musicians I know. Everywhere I look, you're gigging, and I'm like, how on earth does he get from this part of the country back and in time for teaching in the morning? I wonder how you juggle all these things. It's crazy.
It's not always the easiest, but I think I've got a great love for teaching. I've got a great love for music, and when you've got a great love for these kind of things, you do whatever you can to make both things work. Obviously, teaching's my career, but music is a very, very, very serious hobby of mine, which has taken me to all different kind of places in the world, and I think it's really heartening and interesting to see the reaction of some of the children when I'm telling them what I'm doing that weekend. And it really excites them, and I hope in some kind of way it inspires them as well to follow their...
You're saying to kids, what you doing, sir, at the weekend? Oh, I'm playing tea in the park, or I'm playing I'm playing at the Mobile Awards, or I'm doing this. It must be something else.
There was a weekend there was a 2-week period in January just there before all this lockdown stuff happened, obviously, where I was abroad 2 weekends in a row. I was out in Germany playing with Gleadrich one weekend, and the following weekend I was in Lithuania for the British Chamber of Commerce Burn Supper, and both of those meant leaving school Friday, heading to the airport, back late Sunday night, and then in class Monday morning. So it was a bit of a killer, but it was I mean, fantastic experiences, and what a buzz it gave the children as well to see that I was, and hear about the experiences that I was having. As I say, I hope it inspires them in some way as well.
I mean, some of the great musicians also obviously started as school teachers, like Sting and other people. So you never know where you might go next. What's next for Craig Weir then, music wise? What's next?
It's hard to know, because obviously of this lockdown situation. I've been teaching myself the whistle actually during the lockdown. So hopefully I can get out and play that as part of Gleadrich at some point. That's obviously been a lot of fun. I mean, clearly there's been a lot of time spent at home, which has meant a lot of creativity, and a lot of music has kind of come as a result of that. So I've been writing songs, I've been writing pieces for Gleadrich, I've been writing all sorts of other things. There's a likelihood that I'm going to be playing for Her Majesty the Queen next year again at some point. Wonderful. To mark her 95th birthday. So I've been asked to possibly look at musical ideas in terms of compositions for that. So I've done a bit of that. In terms of going forward, this, as we touched on, this should be the band's 10th anniversary year with Gleadrich, which has kind of been put to bed a little bit. So what that's meant though is that much of our plans for this year are now going to take place next year. So we've got a whole festival, a whole summer of festivals booked up. We were due to play a really special show in Dundee, which was going to feature some guests and whatnot. We're going to have a choir, a pipe band, dancers, a whole range of things backing us. That's now going to take place in probably next year. I mean, we have a rescheduled date for October, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So that's probably going to be next year. I am sure there'll be all sorts of other things that crop up as well. We're looking at the idea of taking the band back to America or Canada next summer, which looks like it's got legs. That's probably going to happen. And I guess once all this uncertainty ends, who knows what's going to happen. I think some of the experiences, in fact, all of the experiences that we've spoken about that are of note, have always come when I'm kind of least expecting them. So I guess it's just a waiting game to see what happens.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it could be very exciting, and come the tour and the big celebration for the band, you'll have a whole new album worth of material maybe by the time you emerge from lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been great to speak to you and hear about all the fantastic things that are going on in you, music wise, and we'll wish you all the best, and hopefully that tour will be happening soon, and we can all get a chance to come and join in and follow it. Okay, so great. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Iain. Thanks.